Hi guys, welcome back to the Creep at 100 podcast. This is Kinson here, and today I am here with Mark. Mark, give us a hi.
Hello, everybody.
And sadly, Jeanette is not going to be joining us for this episode. She is taking a little break, and she will be back as soon as she is possible. But in the meantime, me and Mark still got some great stuff coming up for you, starting with our two-part series on Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman. All right, I'm going to start off by asking you, Mark, what do you know about Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, or have you heard anything? You heard any rumors, anything like that?
The name rings a bell. I used to watch a ton of true crime videos on YouTube years ago. So if I did watch something about him, it's not very fresh. So I don't have a lot up there right now.
Okay. That's probably fine. I'm sure as I start going through, you might start recognizing he has a few pretty popular crimes, pretty popular killings, but just wanted to get your opinion before we drop in. So, without further ado, let's get into this, okay? Richard Kuklinski, born April 11th, 1935, eventually standing at a staggering 6'5" and weighing in at about 300 pounds, would become known as the Iceman. He was a serial killer, an animal abuser, a mafia hitman, and an all-around dick to everyone who knew him. He was convicted of 4 murders, he confessed to 7, and admitted to over 100. So with that being said, let's dive into the scary and fascinating life of Richard the Iceman Kuklinski. So, like I said, Richard was born on April 11th, 1935. He was born to Stanley and Anna Kuklinski, and the second of 4 children. And one thing I want to say right before we get into this is that most of these facts we do not have a ton of sources for. However, we have what is always the worst source in any true crime, which is the person themselves. So, that being said, I just want to tell that to you, the audience, and I want to tell you that to you, Mark, so that if anything I say came out of Richard Kuklinski's mouth, it wasn't me, it was him.
Okay.
According to him, his father was extremely abusive and a violent alcoholic. He left when Richard was just a child, but would return every once in a while to come back. Like I said, according to him, usually he would be drunk to just beat the kids more, beat the wife more. I don't know what situation that is where they would keep letting him back in, but, who knows? There's all types of households that work like that. So, when his father actually did end up leaving permanently, or in between these times when his father wasn't around, Anna, the mother, was apparently also abusive, and would beat Richard with broomsticks, and reported to beat him so hard one time that a broomstick broke over top of his back.
Oh my god, are you kidding? Oh, that's...
No. No, and one of the only things that we do have that points towards all this abuse being real is one of the children, and for the life of me, I cannot tell if it's a male or a female child. His name was Florian, or her name was Florian, I'm not sure. Actually died from this abuse from the parents when they were all still children. Richard was a child as well.
Dude, that's so fucked. Oh my god.
Yeah, very sad stuff getting into it. However, like I said, the only source we have is the worst source on this, which could be, and oftentimes is, overdramatic to make you feel bad about the person who's done bad things. When he was young, he also, surprisingly, he was raised extremely Catholic, and he became an altar boy. And he actually did that for most of his childhood, which is kind of insane to me for someone who could go on to do such insane things, was, so devout in the Catholic Church. He eventually rejected the religion altogether and kind of chopped it up as to, if I'm getting abused so bad, where's God intervening? So, not real, bye. It's kind of his thought process of what he's explained to reporters and interviewers, because this is the most TV hungry killer I've ever seen in my life. This man wants to be interviewed. He says yes to every single interview. He says weird cryptic shit while he's in the interviews, but he always accepts them. So there's tons of footage from this dude.
So is he looking for attention? Is that what you're saying?
See, the thing is, I can't tell. I really can't tell. Because he goes in there, and there's some things he's very open about, and then there's some things that he's very like still like very secretive about, which to me, he has a lot of mafia ties, and from when he was arrested to when he was doing these interviews is not that far apart. So I'm thinking that he still is sitting on a lot of information that could still affect a lot of people that are currently doing those crimes or still involved. And so he doesn't want to get killed in prison, but he's fine talking about everything that's not going to get him, shivved in the bathroom. Because, I mean, we'll get into it, but his sentencing is severe. Like, that man got put in prison and was assured promptly that he was never getting out. He was, like, for example, he wasn't set up to go on parole until he was 111.
Damn.
Yeah. He was not even going to be able to be up for parole till he was 111 years old. So, in the beginning, he grew up in this, very abusive household, and he didn't really know, kind of what was up and what was down from his parents. He was raised very chaotically, and like I said, he was the second of 4 children, soon to be third, or 3 children, because Florian got killed in this abuse, which, while awful, did not teach him anything. He grew up in this abuse, and like a lot of people who can grow up and overcome that, he didn't at all. He actually just went straight into it. The only difference in his life than his parents' life is that he ended up getting paid to do it.
Ooh, paid?
Paid.
Ooh.
Like I mentioned in the intro, he did become a mafia hitman for the main 7 families of New York.
Jeez.
He would eventually become a hitman for one specific man that we'll touch on later in next week's episode, who would make him most of his money and was the person who first interviewed him for a hitman position and a contract killer position.
Jeez. Oh, I'm eager to hear this.
Yeah, that guy has a very insane story, and it is still unconfirmed if Richard had anything to do with the end of it. So, when he was young, there's not a lot of information, obviously, because he's just a kid, There's no, going to be any records, anything like that. None of his parents were alive at the time of his arrest, but none of his siblings ever want to speak on him. His family doesn't really, weirdly doesn't know anything about him, because the entire time he's doing these crimes, and the entire time that he's being a contract killer, he's playing house. He has a family. He has kids. He has 5 kids. And he had 2 wives. So he's going along and he's just doing this perfectly little, nice white picket fence house. And his wife was reported with saying, I just don't ask him questions. He brings us money. I don't know what he does, but he seems scary, so I just don't ask him.
I mean, after, not knowing what your husband does for a living and he's coming home loaded, you think they would have an idea?
Yeah, definitely not wrong. You might have an idea, but is your first thought hitman? Mine would be drug dealer.
I'm just not gonna question it, bro. I don't want.
Yeah, that true. Mine would be drug dealer. That'd be my first assumption. I wouldn't immediately go to contract killer. One of the signs that we did have when he was younger, though, which is not great. It's kind of sad. It's one of our most likelies for psychopaths. Is he did say that he killed a lot of dogs and cats in his neighborhood, which is never great to hear about anybody, but you know what's coming later if he's doing all that. But luckily, that's almost it for when he was a kid. There is one case that I'm about to go into, which, like I said, is full Richard's account. This is 100% from him. There was zero proof about anything other than him admitting it. He has a story when he was 13 years old. And this is when he says his first confirmed kill is.
At 13, dude.
At 13.
It's my first
13 years old.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No. Man. Yeah, by Rock. Too, no less. So, 13 years old, Richard says that he was being bullied, which I don't know how he was bullied. People don't just become 6'5" and 300 pounds. It's a gradual change. But apparently he said that he used to be a little bit smaller when he was a kid, and he had to kind of grow into it. So when he was smaller and he was on the bus, he was getting bullied in school by this kid. And so instead of, telling anybody or doing anything, he said, I'm just going to deal with it myself. He lured this kid out to like the marsh or like the ponds near him. And he said that he was going to trade him. He was going to trade him different like candies and like food and things like that, which I guess was a popular thing that they did in the playgrounds at his school. And basically he had enticed him out with that, saying, get off the stop here. Get off at this bus stop. We're going to go out there. We'll do like some things, and then we'll both like, walk home. It's equal distance between our houses, so we can like do it in secret. They get out there. He tells him to keep walking. He's got to get into his book bag to get it. And instead, he just pulls out this big ass rock, clocks him over the head, said that he started to crawl away. He was trying to crawl like out of this small riverbed that he had fallen into. And then Richard said it was the only and first time that he had ever felt like he knew what he did. He felt that guilt. He said he felt it for about 2 seconds. And he said the only thing that he thought would stop the feeling is another hit. So he hit him again. And he said with that second hit was the last time he ever felt guilt about what he did.
Dear God, that's like the most disturbing thing I've ever heard.
Yep. The entire time I was researching this and the entire time I was hearing this story, because he actually says this, he tells this story in an interview that I watched. It was a HBO piece from, I believe, in 1992, which would have been 8 years after his arrest. Yes, 8 years after his arrest. Or no, sorry, 6 years after his arrest. As he tells HBO this in this 2-part series about this story and about like his first kill. This HBO piece that they did is full of the scariest quotes I've ever heard in my life. This man just gets on camera and says the scariest shit I could ever think of in my life.
Wow. Are we gonna hear some of these quotes?
Oh yeah, I got a list for you at the end. I got a list for you at the end. Because a lot of them involve the crimes that we're going to get into at next week's episode. So at the end of next week's episode, I have a list of about 4 or 5 of them in my notes written down under the topic scary shit he said. So we'll get into that in next week's episode after we go through some of the adult crimes that he had. Today we are just going to finish up on all of his childhood, which right now we are, or not even his childhood and early adulthood, because he starts his crime actually, assuming that this rock thing isn't true. I think it is because he's a scary dude, but assuming that's not true, he actually starts his crime in a more innocent way. That if he just stopped at this, he could have made some money and everything would have been fine, and there would have been, according to him, 100 less dead people. Because that's what he says he did. He says in this interview, the same HBO interview, he's asked. He says, or the interviewer says, "How many people have you killed?" And he goes, like actual number or approximate? And then the interviewer doesn't say anything, and he repeats. He goes, "I'm gonna say approximate, and it'll be approximately over 100." And he's so calm. He's so calm and collected when he's saying all this that it freaks me out.
I don't know if you've noticed, but like when you watch serial killers like do interviews, they're always so calm. Mm-hmm. Every single, well, not Charles Manson. Well, he didn't kill. He just led a bunch of killings.
Oh,
I guess that doesn't count.
I mean, I
that
guess.
Man's a wackadoo, bro. He's crazy.
He is insane, man. Yeah, and all interviews with him are he's like going around. He sounds like
just moving around like that.
Yeah. He looks like the dude from like Wild Thornberrys. Just screeching.
I know this is totally off topic, but have you seen the video of Charles Manson, and they asked him about Ted Bundy, and he goes, "I don't hang around poopy butts like Ted Bundy."
Yes. Yes.
Like, what the hell?
Oh.
All right, back on track.
Yeah. Okay, we'll hop back on. After this supposed first kill at 13 years old is when he kind of goes off the radar, according to himself. He was still a Catholic, little altar boy during this whole thing, and he was reportedly just chilling. He said he said it in his interview. He was like, yeah, there was a few more murders in there, and then just doesn't say any details about it, which is one of the reasons that I'm led to believe that he might be lying about it. But, who knows? If it's over 100, he had to start early. Because he died at 70 years old. Like, that's not a ton of time. So, kind of goes off the radar a little bit, and he pops back up in his early 20s. It is much more innocent crimes. The crimes that he's gotten into these days are he's just selling pirated DVDs. That's all he's doing. It's Disney movies.
He's trying to make a living.
I guess, yeah.
Coin.
But like,
I get it.
But like, rock murder at 13, 10 years later, you're bootlegging Toys R Us 1. Toys R Us 1? Toy Story 1?
Yeah, bro, Toys R Us 2 was okay, but that
Toys R Us, Toys R Us had a better arc. But yeah, he's there's a worse part of it where he's also bootlegging like pornography videos, but I mean, for the most part, he's just peddling Disney movies, man. He's peddling Disney and Pixar, and he's being fine. The crimes are innocent, but
whatever gets him the coin, I get it.
Whatever gets him the coin, I guess. But hanging around in all those shady places eventually leads him to becoming a pool shark, and that is what we're going to talk about right when we come back from break.
This episode's pretty creepy, but you guys know what's even more creepy is getting hacked online or even stalked. How I fear of losing my private information to some random creep that you don't even know. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys think the same, but hey, don't worry because NordVPN can prevent all that for you just how it did for me. NordVPN is the world's leading VPN and malware blocking service. It secures your internet data with military-grade encryption, ensures your web activity remains private and helps bypass geographic content restrictions online, and it allows you to connect to over 5,000 servers in 56 countries. You can now try NordVPN risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee when you sign up for one of their annual plans. Now, do yourself a grand favor and please click the link in the description below to sign up and start browsing the web with confidence today.
All right, guys, welcome back to Richard Kuklinski Part 1. We are back from our break, and right when we left off, Richard was getting out of the pirating Disney movies crimes, and he was starting to get into pool sharking. And me and Mark actually do have a little bit of experience in this department because me and Mark used to run a pool shark operation out of 4 of our local bars.
Five. Before it got shut down.
5 of our local bars before it got shut down. And you know what? I definitely weren't the best, but we definitely weren't the worst.
Here's the thing. We didn't make any money.
Yeah.
We got swindled.
We thought that we got pool sharked.
We got pool sharked.
Yeah.
We were trying to be pool Long story short, we tried to be pool sharks and we got pool sharked.
Yeah, we quickly learned that we were tunas in a bar full of sharks, and it just didn't work out for us. At one point, I think all we made from the deal is like we made like 17 cents and then 7 bags of Oreos, and the 7 bags of Oreos weren't even like, full boxes. They were just Ziploc bags, and so we never ate them.
You know what was terrible? We couldn't even buy another game with the 17
No, we could. It's like 50 cents. It's 50 cents a game.
We weren't even close. We weren't even halfway.
I don't even know how we got to that denomination.
Yeah, so anyway, we went out, and then I grabbed this rock, and then
You know what? As terrible as this is, that's a really good transition into what he did to his next person.
beautiful. Let's hop right into it.
Yeah. So,
Speaking of rocks, let's jump right in.
when he was pool sharking, he had a very, very short temper. He always did. So, which, I mean, I'm sure you could imagine. And he got into his pool sharking business, and one time someone tried to do what they tried to do to us and swindle us back. So he could see it. He could see what was happening. So he let them swindle him like 4 or 5 times. I think that the amount he said, he changed it in like 4 different interviews, what the actual amount was, but he was very confident in all the interviews saying it. So I don't know. One says like $100, one says like $50, one says it was over $1.95. It just, whatever you want to believe. The man takes it, walks out to his car, and he debates on letting him go and just being fine with it. But like I said, he's got a short temper. So he walks out there, sees the dude sitting in his car, and this is how he says that it went down. I don't believe this. This is the most Tom Cruise-ass thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, I think he's trying to make himself look cooler. Is the guy asked him for a light, and he said, yeah, I've got a light, and then lit his car on fire with gasoline. I don't think that happened. That's a movie-ass quote.
That's something I'm pretty sure I heard Chucky say in a movie.
Yeah, did that happen? What did that happen? Was that somewhere in like the 1960 area? Because
What,
if
Chucky?
so, yeah.
No, dude, Chucky came out in like late 80s.
Oh, okay. Well then it definitely wasn't Chucky, unless Chucky got it from Richard
No.
Kuklinski.
It could have been. Here's the thing. It could have been, and my man could have watched that scene, and he could have been like, that gives me an idea.
No. This happened in like the 60s.
Yeah, but he could have been making it up, bro.
Oh, like after in the interviews.
Yeah. Is he still alive?
No, he's not still alive. He died. Surprisingly, he only died in 2006.
It could.
Like it's only been
I don't need him
roughly-
listening to this and come and fucking finding me.
Could you imagine? First of all, I really don't think that they give Spotify Premium to prisoners.
Could you imagine how bad Chorsey would feel?
Yeah, the president of our company gets us killed by the Iceman, by Richard the Iceman Kuklinski. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to think about that. I mean, to be fair, his kids are still alive. And number 1, I know you're listening. Number 2, I mean this when I say it. Your dad sucked. And you know what? Number 3, so do you. So, what? So apparently, reportedly, they just want to live like a nice, normal life in their town. And one of them works at a magazine. I'm not going to say what magazine because I don't want to further dox them. Because they've spent a very, very long time trying to get away from this. Like, they've all changed their names and things like that to get away from him. Which, yeah, I would too. I mean, if my dad was such a nefarious killer that they made a movie starring Winona Ryder in it, I'd be very mad.
Yeah.
I definitely
Thought about it.
I definitely wouldn't keep the family name, you know?
Winona Ryder's pretty cool.
Yeah, but like not playing a victim of your dad.
Well, I didn't die.
Jesus. I can't do this. So after the reported lighting this car on fire, which by the way, that car did light on fire. He did kill a person like that in his bull shark days. It was not confirmed if he said that to them. I don't think he did. I think that was him trying to make himself look cool. I think he just watched Top Gun or something cool, some cop show where they said some snarky line like that, and he was just like, oh, I'm going to say some shit like this.
I'm going to light a fire.
Exactly. He watched Goosebumps, and he heard Slappy saying that.
Phantoms on YouTube.
Yeah. I think he was a sub actually, but
he was a subscriber.
yeah. The Iceman subscribed to our YouTube But something I talked about earlier, which is very prevalent in this point, is during this, he was on his second wife. He married a first wife. He had 2 kids with her. And then he just like kind of pulled a my dad and left. Then he went to his second family.
Jesus Christ.
We're gonna just to be clear, we're comparing only that act, not as my father to the Iceman. Just extra clarification on that. Yeah.
Is not the child.
Yeah. I'm not the child. I know saying that makes me feel like I am, but I am. I promise I am not.
I've never met your dad, bro.
That's because he was suspiciously arrested in 1985, bro.
He died in 2006.
Next topic. So so he was actually on his second marriage during all of this, and when he was, lighting people on fire for not paying him back 50 cents. And like I said, I mean, he just repeated the cycle with his own parents, which is sad on his own children. Honestly, the luckiest person in this entire story is his first wife, Linda, and those 2 kids for getting abandoned. Because then he didn't mess with him. He left, and they just never heard from him again. And they are the only people in this story.
This kind of does sound like your dad.
That's Jesus. Oh, you know what? Nice. Good timing. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Maybe it is. Sure. A new unconfirmed thing. Maybe my dad is the Iceman. I'm trying to find a good transition.
That's something you want to brag about. I mean, the writer thing's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, that part was cool. Would have been cool. It's okay. Listen, she did good in Stranger Things and every other movie that she's been in that I don't know.
What else has she been in? Kinson, what else has she been in?
I don't know, bro. Just let me get by it, okay?
Don't look it up.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, bro.
I can see you.
Yeah. Winona Ryder, IMDb, quick.
I can probably name 5 movies she's in before you can get there.
You know what? You probably could too. I agree.
This isn't a Winona Ryder podcast. Let's jump back into the.
You're right. I was just trying to find a natural transition into he beats his kids.
Beetlejuice.
So I guess I'll just say it. Yeah, you know what? Actually, every time I say something dark from now on, we're gonna hit one Winona Ryder fun fact. Yeah, you know what, Mark? That's what we're gonna do. Every single time that I say something that's super dark, I'll pause for you. You hit me with one Winona Ryder fun fact, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Great, because it's about to get a little dark, and especially this part that you're gonna really, really hate. So, on his second wife, who was Barbara, he had 1 daughter and he had 2 sons with her. He beat his wife like relentlessly, but something I will say, and something his kids have said on record, they never got abused by him physically. He did emotionally abuse his children, but he never actually laid a hand on his children, which, if you can find a redeeming quality in someone such as that could be something. So after family abuse, Mark, what have you got for me?
Okay, so did you know that Winona Ryder was arrested for shoplifting in 2001?
And okay.
She quit acting for a while because of the incident. But you know what? She came back, baby. She came
because of
back.
a shoplifting charge?
Yeah, it was like all over the place apparently.
Oh, like she got like defamed for it, like a little bit?
Dude, yeah. It was like she stole like almost $6,000 worth of stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, like when I think of like shoplifting, I think of like things that are local to me, like CVS, where the top priced item is $20.
Local to you was not local to Winona.
Yeah, yeah, she was.
So
She was stealing in the hills.
I think actually she was.
Yeah, probably.
Beverly Hills. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What you said, 2001. I mean, she was
2001.
dummy famous by then. Okay. Well, interesting fun fact. You're gonna need another one really soon.
Okay, I'm ready.
This next part is rough, bro. So, speaking of the abuse on his children, one of the emotional abuse tactics that he used to use is getting rid of or harming things that they liked as punishment. So Merrick, the oldest daughter, had a very, very sad story that he corroborated and he said was true. Is one night she was out with friends and they were just having a good time and she ended up being a little late. So she came home late. Richard got home. He was mad that she was late and then killed her dog right in front of her just for being late.
Did you know that Winona Ryder dated Johnny Depp for 4 years?
Well, no more commentary on that one. Yeah. We very, very good. You know what? I think that's a double fun fact. Can you give me one more?
Yeah, she was cast as Joyce Byers on Stranger Things thanks to her anxious energy.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Anxious.
She is pretty anxious. So, getting away from that a little bit, getting away from like, the need for Winona Ryder facts. One of the only times that he actually got arrested before his main arrest in 1986 was he was arrested for passing a bad check. But nothing actually ever happened to him because he just was like, oh, my bad, I'll pay back the money. That like for the bad check, I didn't know it was bad. Which apparently you can do back then is you can just say my bad and get out of a crime by just paying the money. I know you can do that. Like people get like arrested for like small stuff like that and it's like 5 years inside. But apparently he could back then. But going along, these crimes, these DVD things, and then the pool sharking, and then he started, passing these bad checks, eventually got him involved with all these peoples around New York and kind of these underground clubs. And so he started meeting people, he started networking. Eventually, he got involved with a few of these crime families. And one of the most popular one was a man that we are going to hear all about in this episode, a little bit at the end, and all of next week's episode is Robert DeMeo. Robert DeMeo is a very important character in Richard Kuklinski's life. The second most is the funniest man for a hitman I've ever heard in my life. That is Mr. Softy. Was a longtime accomplice and potential victim of Richard Kuklinski, who we'll hear all about next week. But in these underground bars and these back alley rooms, he met Robert DeMeo. DeMeo was reportedly part of the Gambino crime family in New York and was in charge. He was basically the manager. He was the GM for their contract killers. And so he was responsible for recruiting them and making sure that they were the real deal, making sure that they weren't police. He vetted them, he would hire them, and then all jobs would run through the families, through DeMeo, to the killer, back through DeMeo, back to the family. He was the middle guy for all these contracts. And with him meeting DeMeo was his introduction to becoming what they called debt collector. He wasn't a killer just for assassinations. He was a killer based on debt for these families, for the most part, until he just decided to do what he wanted. For his introduction to the Gambino crime family and with DeMeo took him in a car and he said, you know what? You think you could kill someone if I asked you to? He says, I don't know. I think I could. He goes, do you think you could? Or do you know you could? He says, I think I could probably do it. DeMeo gets him in a car. They drive far away. They drive to another town. They sit in this other town. They're on the side of the road. They sit there for a long time. Eventually, someone walks by. He's walking his dog. And DeMeo says, him. Get him. Richard then gets out of the car, says hello to the man walking his dog, waits for him to bend down in front of him to pet the dog, and then shoots him. He leaves him right there on the street. He gets back in the car with DeMeo, and they drive away. And then DeMeo admits that was his audition for becoming the hitman.
Just this random person on the road?
Random person. Richard has said in interviews he has no idea who it was. They didn't do anything. It was just a random. DeMeo just waited until the opportunity to where they wouldn't get caught.
Oh my god. Did you know Winona's Ryder was almost named Laura?
It's almost named what? Laura?
Laura.
Oh, wow. That's really nice.
Yeah, she was bullied at school too. Anyway. I mean, she didn't use rocks on her bullies, so...
That's true. No, but her future stepchild would use a roller skate.
Angela had it coming.
Angela did have it coming. That self-righteous bitch. So, with his introduction to the Gambino crime family comes maybe his first, but definitely not his last confirmed murder that he got convicted for. There's a man by the name of George Maliband on January 30th of 1980 who would be found a week later in a 55-gallon oil drum with his legs all cut up to make him fit in the oil drum. And with that first murder that they can tie to Richard Kuklinski is where we will pick back up on next week's episode for Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, Part 2. All right, guys. Well, like I said, that was Part 1 of Richard the Iceman Kuklinski. You can go ahead and follow us on everything at CreepIt100pod. And go ahead and give us a listen on every single platform that you get your favorite podcasts on. Make sure to give us a 5-star rating if you want. I think we're worth it, but not if you do what you want. You do what you want, guys. But anyway, this was Kinson and Mark. This was a pretty dark one, so why don't you leave us with one more Winona Ryder fact to close us out, guys?
Did you know that Winona Ryder... What, bro?
Go ahead.
Can I get it out? Yeah. Jeez. That Winona Ryder and Gwyneth Paltrow had...
I'm going to be real with you. These Winona Ryder fun facts have not been fun. They've all been about crime and losing friends.
No, they're all really like... These aren't fun facts, and that's what I typed.
No, they do not seem fun. Well, you know what? Maybe next week we will go ahead and have some more fun ones. But
maybe
anyway,
next week you'll find out why Winona Ryder had a falling out.
True. Yeah. We'll get a part 2 to that too. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. Like I said, you can find us on everything at CreepIt100pod. And leave us a like, leave us a review on everywhere you find your pods. And we will be back to you with Richard the Iceman Kuklinski Part 2 next week.